Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Artin. I make beats and sound design videos, and today we're going to talk about how to use the OPXY to make full songs. This video will have two main parts. First, we'll start off with how the workflow actually functions within the OPXY, what tools you have at your disposal to arrange full songs, and then I'll show you an example of a song I made using these tools so you can get a better idea of how to make your own songs. With that, let's jump right into the workflow within the OPXY. Now, you can see up top we have project here. Every song on your OPXY is going to be tied to a project. Projects are made up of different tracks. These are your 8 instrument tracks and your 8 auxiliary tracks. Within those tracks, you have your patterns here. Each one of these tracks can have up to 9 different patterns. Now, each of these patterns can be arranged into a scene, which is an arrangement of patterns across all of your tracks. All right. And you can have up to 99 different scenes, which gives you a lot of room to bake transitions and little surprises into your song. Using your scenes, you can take them and arrange them into up to 9 songs per project. Now that you have a basic understanding of the workflow on the OPXY, let's talk about how you can use it to make your own songs. As a general rule, you want to start your song by making the most complicated loop that you can possibly make for that song. This would typically be your chorus. It would be the part of your song that has the most energy, and that's where you want to craft your song. That was the exact process I followed to create my song Paragon on the OPXY. It all started with this complicated loop that sounds like this. From here, I created a bunch of different scenes that built up to this loop, and then a few scenes that ramp down from it. You can see that's exactly how my song is structured. I start with 1, which is my intro, go into 2, 3, and 4, which are building up to scene 5. That was the complicated loop you heard. And then 6 and 7 ramp down. They're more like outros. For the first scene, I used the existing bass line I had and simplified it a bit and used my existing chord. And it sounds like this. One thing I did differently on the intro track was add a tape stop effect on the 13th step that goes for 4 steps to create an effect that sounds like this. That's how I transitioned into the first part of my song. Going into the second scene, I added my drums. Now, these weren't my full drums. I just had the kick, snare, and the shakers. That was it. From there, on the third scene, I added the hi-hats. Then jumped into scene 4, which is exactly like scene 3, except I have this punch-in effect that adds a mute for the last 8 steps of my 4-bar loop that acts as a transition into scene 5, which is the most complicated part of my song. I repeated my 5th scene twice, and then we went into scene 6 and 7, which are the outros. Scene 6 was just like scene 1, except it has all of my instruments. Since we took away the drums, you can feel that there's less energy and that the song is ramping down. Now going into scene 7, it's the same exact thing, except I added the tape looping effect and made everything play at half speed. This gives you the vibe that the entire thing is slowing down and coming to an end. That's how simple it is to make a song on the OPXY. To recap, start with a full loop. Something that you would expect to hear in a chorus should have the most energy in your song. Then take that full loop and simplify it across different scenes. This is how you can craft your intro, your A section, your B section, your chorus. This is where you'll also add different transition effects, and eventually you'll build up into the full loop you started with. Some bonus tips to keep in mind. The OPXY lets you switch out presets between patterns, and it will remember what preset you switch to. This is a great way to take your melody and just use a different preset on another pattern to give it a whole different flavor. For example, on scene 8, we can copy and paste our piano that sounds like this. And we can go into the synth and we can just change it to another synth. We could change it to an organ if we wanted. and it'll play back as an organ. Now, if we unmute some of the other components, this is what scene 8 will sound like. And you can see if I switch back to scene 5, it's playing the old piano that we had. It's an extremely powerful feature to make your songs even more dynamic. Second bonus tip, remember you have up to 99 different scenes. This means you can get very meticulous with the transitions that you use. For example, my third scene here sounded like this. My fourth scene sounded exactly the same. All that was different is I wanted a transition effect on scene 4 using the punch-in effect that added the little mute. That was it. With that, now you should have a basic understanding of how to make your own songs on the OPXY, so try this out. And don't forget to like and subscribe if this was helpful. Also drop a comment below if I missed anything or if you have any other questions. Thanks.